Welcome to the Deal Champs podcast. I'm your host, the Strat Daddy, and everybody will address me as the Strat Daddy. I benched over 300 pounds today, and so that'll be the name up until the Deal Champs Summit. Welcome to the. Do not forget about the Deal Champs Summit. Now that I'm mentioning it, it is on April 19th and 20th. It is going to be amazing. I was talking to the speakers like, bro, I've never seen such a stacked speaker lineup. We honestly have some of the best names in the real estate space coming to speak. We're super stoked. We pulled out all the stops, spending tons of money just to get it done and make sure it's amazing for all you guys who are watching, listening. You can get your tickets at dealchamps.com/summit. And again, real quick, my name is Stratton Brown. I've scaled 2 different companies to 7 figures using virtual assistants, and we have a 7-figure real estate portfolio that's mainly self-storage and creative finance. Our goal with this podcast is we just want to be able to give you as much value as possible. Today will be a really, really good one of how you can go and implement all sorts of different things that we learned into your business today. And then we have the master of hair with no hair today, but a great t-shirt on, Mr. Jason Pritchard.
What's up, guys? It's your other host, Jason Pritchard. Backstory on me is I worked in corporate America for 15 years, hated my job, burned all the boats in 2014, and have not looked back since. In the last 10 years, we flipped over 400 houses. We've got a rental portfolio just north of 100 units here in Central California. And like we always say, our purpose of doing these episodes for you guys is just to transfer as many of the things that we've learned to you, so you guys can learn from our mistakes and navigate all the pitfalls that we fell into. So excited to talk about this, how we're going to grow and scale our business. Everybody's looking to find deals, so this should be a good one. Hopefully get lots of engagement for you guys that are on the live stream. Drop a lot of questions here. This will be a good chance to pick our brains like we always get.
And then we have the Captain America, the hill runner. For some bizarre reason, he thinks that he's a better man than everyone else because no one else runs hills. Mr. Dean Rogers.
Hey, you got to be game time ready, man. I'm getting back on the hills. What happened was I was in Ojai visiting some friends for Easter. And while we were there, this mountain goat of a friend that I have was running up these hills. And I hadn't been running hills in a while. But sure, I was up for the challenge. I love being outdoors, love exercising. I'm running up these hills and I was getting like short of breath. And I was like, you know what? This can't happen again. I'm going to start running hills again. I'm going to be prepared. Got to be game time ready. So I'm back to running hills. Call me a freak, but I'm into it. So I'm your other co-host.
Are you sprinting up the hills, or
sprinting?
Are you like getting up
sprinting,
the hill?
Sprints, only sprints. No walking, no jogging, only sprints.
I think the community needs proof. That's all I'm gonna say.
You need video proof?
I need video proof that Dean Rogers is sprinting.
Why don't you come and join me and then we'll film it?
All right,
we're going to do a golf cart chats. And while we are doing the episode, we are going to do hill sprints and we're going to be talking on the way back down the hill.
And Stratton Brown is going to pass out.
Yes, that is what we're doing on your episode. Consider it done. You just signed yourself up for that, dude. There we go. I can't wait. I'm going to be so prepared for it too. You're going to be so tired. Yes. All right. Well, I'm your other co-host, guys. Dean Rogers here. My story is I transitioned from the NFL to corporate to then real estate. Been investing in real estate for a decade now in Central California. Done over 600 plus deals. Rental portfolio of almost $10 million. I made a mistake of not buying enough rentals last year, so I'm going to significantly increase my rentals this year. Coaching students on how to get started in real estate with wholesaling. You guys can always connect with me at deanrogers.com.
All right. Today's topic I think is awesome. And full disclosure, I've never done 100 deals in a year, but I have grown things to where I'd say the biggest piece is the complexity and the team of like marketing and then having like a team in place when you want to do a ton of deals. To me, like whenever we've grown something big, is our marketing and sales dialed? And then can we lead them the right way? I'd say for Dean and Jason, this has been like your most voluminous year from what you were saying. And Dino, you've been doing 100 deals, what, 3 years?
Past 3 years.
Yeah, like the past 3 years. And so I'd love to hear, Jet, what is the biggest jump that took you from like, hey, we're kind of doing it to, and I think I know Jason's, to like we jumped up to doing 10 plus deals a month. And like, what was the big differentiator there?
For me, it was people, one, and systems and processes, number two. I think you have to have the right people. Those people have to be in the right seat. And if they don't have the right systems and processes, things are just going to fall apart. So I think you got to focus on attracting talent, developing that talent, and then giving them the tools and the training and stuff that they need in order to do it. I know Dean's been hitting the 100 deal a year mark longer. I'm curious to hear your feedback, because you guys do it pretty efficiently, man. It's interesting with your team, dude. You guys don't have like this crazy, tons of people. So I think you're even more efficient and optimized than probably we are.
Yeah, I think there's a couple key things. You hit on two of the big ones. First and foremost, for me, it's marketing. Like, it's the lifeblood of the business. If you don't have good leads, your team is going to be working their face off, and they're going to get frustrated. They might get burnt out. It can be done. I mean, you guys, Jason, do a phenomenal job at cold calling. Strat has done a phenomenal job at cold calling, far better than what I've ever done. I have not set up a cold calling team. I've outsourced it, but that's not what I envisioned was going to put us in the best position. Again, people can be very successful with it. And we just had a guest on the Sales King just a week or two ago, and he's almost strictly cold calling. So it's a proven method and can be very effective. For me, it was about being as efficient and maximizing marketing as much as possible, getting highly motivated leads as often as possible. And I just posted about this the other day. In the month of March, last month, I think we had something like 186 leads. Doesn't sound like a lot of leads. Okay. And I don't think it is a lot of leads. There's other companies doing far more.
It's a lot of
but we had
leads.
A lot of new leads, but we had 22 deals under contract in the month of March, the most we've ever had. And I can pinpoint one reason why we had the biggest month ever in March was because at the beginning of March, I came steamrolling into town and trained the hell out of my team because I was frustrated with the results we had from January and February. Now, in January, we had 10 deals under contract. In February, I think it was the same, but it just didn't feel like we were working at the, like we should. We weren't getting the deals like we should. So the very first week of March, I rolled into town and we just hit sales training and process over and over and over again. And literally, you couldn't make this up. At lunch, right after just hitting the sales training, following the script, follow the script, a lead came in, and one of our acquisitions guys answered the call live right there at the table, lunch table, on speakerphone, and took this seller through a 22-minute call, which put her in the position and him in the position to close on the deal. And then a 10-minute call after, we had a contract sign on our offer call. And by just literally, if you listen back to the call, our sales guy was reading the script. You could hear him reading it. Like, he wasn't even trying to pretend or add in some extra flair. He was reading the script. And we landed that deal where we're going to make $175,000 on that one single deal. And then we had a killer March. So first and foremost, for me, it's marketing. Every stage of the game, when I ended up increasing the amount of deals I did per month, it was always marketing. And then it was followed up and followed through with having the sales skills improved, the sales process improved, and then to actually execute and have those results see the finish line, you have to have all your back-end processes to dispo the deal out if you're wholesaling it, getting the financing in place if you're going to fix and flip it, and just having all of that working together. And I feel really strong about all the systems and processes and marketing that we have to support all that growth.
What does I think marketing is a huge question, right? Obviously now I think there's been a shift towards more inbound marketing, right? And paying the extra money to get warmer, higher quality leads in, because cold outreach is just becoming more and more difficult. So people hear 100 deals, but they don't understand sometimes the expense that's associated with that, right? And all of the stuff that has to happen in the back end. I'm happy to share mine, Dean, but since you're talking about it, why don't you give maybe just surface level view of what does your inbound marketing channels look like, ballpark, how much are you spending on those marketing channels in order to get 22 contracts in 1 month?
Yeah, it'd be good for us all to kind of like talk through that, give perspective. I think for us, the first thing that we ever started on was direct mail, and we still do it to this day. And to me, that's the bread and butter that continues to produce consistent results. All the other stuff I do, I feel like fills in the cracks. So the kind of the leader with lead volume and deal volume is direct mail. So direct mail continues to be really great for us. And
when did you find diminishing return in your direct mail? I think everybody needs to kind of get this correct. Let's say like Matty G, when we all came into it, Matt found a point to where it's like, bro, there is no more mail. Everybody knows Matt buys houses. So like, how did you find that, and when did you know you needed to stop?
So I had several different points throughout my journey since I've been doing direct mail since the beginning. I first started with just your high amount of equity, own it for 20 plus years in your target, geographic area, a very broad, what I call, cast a wide net type of marketing list. And I used list source when I first started. Then I got into Property Radar. Then I tried PropStream for a little bit, went back to Property Radar, and realized that list was only so good. And as more competition, as more education, as more awareness of flipping houses came into, the information age that we're in and kind of exiting right now, it became more and more competitive. So it started to work less and less. Like I used to send out, I think 5,000 mail pieces and get 30, 40 calls, like it was good. And we'd get a deal every single time we would send mail, sometimes two. Now we have to send a lot more mail to get the same results and spend a lot more money. Before I used to send out the cheap postcards. Now I got to send fancy letters and all these different things to get their attention. So there's been several points, Strat, to your question, where I've had to pivot and I've had to adjust and I've had to change up what I'm doing, change the data source, change the mail piece. And I think that's marketing in general. That's marketing 201 is like, you got to be iterative. You got to adjust. You got to do something that's cutting edge to get people's attention. So I feel like we're really hot on direct mail right now and got it dialed in. And so that's working really good for us. We also do some very expensive inbound lead sources with things like TV. You can spend tens of thousands of dollars of that a month. Really expensive. And guess what? Hold on tight, because it doesn't always hit. You can go months sometimes without a deal, and you're just waiting for that next month for a deal to close and hoping it's a big one. So TV, to me, the most value it's done is brand. It's done really strong for brand, not only with the sellers, but also with buyers. When people are buying my deals, they're like, oh yeah, you guys are legit. You guys are the real deal. And I can't tell you how many buyers, how many other investors in my market will send me a video or a picture of me on the TV while they're at the gym, while they're at home, whatever it is. So to me, it just has added a lot of credibility. It's probably our lowest ROI marketing channel, but we spend a significant amount of money. So it pencils, right? It pencils, and it's at the end of the day been worth it. But it's not one I would recommend to start with. It's not one that's like the best ROI, but it's worked out well for us and what I was hoping it to do. So we've got TV. We have PPC, so pay per click. These are the Google ads. When you search on Google and you type in, I want some new shoes, what are the links that show up at the top that are sponsored ads? People are spending money. Well, we spend money to have our link show up at the top when people say they want to sell their house. And, we spend nearly 10 grand a month on that. And again, that's also another marketing channel where it can hit and hit really good. And then there can be months where it's just down and it's not hitting. And I have these conversations at the masterminds I go to where people are saying like, hey, what are you doing for PPC? Mine's not working right now. Who are you using? Oh yeah, I'm using them too. Well, it's working for me right now. It's not working for you. And then people kind of switch around and try different things out. So that's kind of like a revolving door of marketing.
I feel like you could spend a lot more on PPC, or do you not think so? Like, do you feel like you maxed it out?
What's interesting is Fresno being the largest market in the geographic area that I do deals and where we all do deals. Fresno is actually really competitive. I mean, there's a lot of investors. And I get a full report from my team of how many people are bidding, how much they're spending, what percentage are you showing up at the first position or second. I mean, there's like all this data behind it. And there's a significant amount of competition in PPC in Fresno. So you can throw a lot of money at it and you can get some results. It's been good for us. We had a 10x return on it last year, 9 point something X on it last year. So for me, I'm excited about that. That worked out well for us. But it was because we had a couple deals that really hit. Had those deals not hit, it would have been not so good. You know what I mean?
Like when you say not so good, you saying like 2x?
Yeah, like a couple X rather than a 9x. Because some of those deals
a 9x
really hit.
tells me like we should pour gasoline on it.
Right. But then when you really peel it back and look closely, you're like, oh, well, that's because a couple of these deals were like 6-figure deals. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Or an 80,000 rip. And it's like, well, no wonder the numbers look so good. So you got to be careful when you're looking at your KPIs. You got to really look at all the data points. How many deals across how many leads, what's your cost per deal, what's your overall ROI on that, what's your multiple. So got that to look at. And then we do radio ads as well. Radio ads is hit or miss. I think it also helps with branding. Again, it's another thing. I get a lot of people that will send me messages of just them like pointing the camera at the radio and listening to it. So those are our inbound lead sources. And then we still get a lot of deals from our network. We've got a handful of deals right now we're working on that are from our network. And for people that are sleeping on that, man, start early and do it often. The more you can network with people and stay in contact with people. I know, Jason, that's huge for you. That's the gift that keeps on giving. And when you make it a win-win for everybody, people want to keep doing business with you. So that's like a full breakdown of all our stuff.
How much spend overall, Dean? If you feel comfortable
we spend probably about $45,000 a month.
That's pretty lean for the amount of deals that you guys do.
It's pretty good. And that's with us having a team of 6. So it's me. I know that was a question I think you had, Jason. It's me, my business partner, Lewis, 2 acquisitions guys, our office manager, and then our leads manager. And we can go all down. We'll save this for later about the whole like processes and stuff. But just in terms of marketing, that's the type of volume we're doing, the spend that we have based on that team size.
Were you about to ask something, Jason?
No, I was just waiting for Dean to finish. We've got some questions in my IG chat. I'm just going to put them in our private chat, and then we've got some other stuff popping up here if we want to address those while people are on.
Yeah, I got a question I'll hit real quick. Marquise says, what marketing is working for you now? My answer to that is it all works, and everything that I'm doing because I know it works well enough to continue doing. I've done it for an extended period of time. And I know that there's not only one that I would do. What's working probably the best right now is direct mail. and from an ROI standpoint, from a lead volume standpoint, from a deal volume standpoint. So I feel like there's more opportunities right now coming from that point standpoint. But I wouldn't get rid of any others that I'm doing right now, because at some point in time they fill in the cracks. And as a collective, as a marketing arm together, they all make up the deals that we're doing. So it's important to have them all going for me.
And I think yours all compounds on each other. Like when it comes to inbound, you've created like the perfect machine, because like you say TV may not be working, but they get a piece of mail from you and now they get touched 6 different times without them even thinking about it, because they get the radio ad, they get the TV ad, then they Google you, right? They get all those pieces, and now it's just omnipresence. To where
Yep.
I'm interested, how many of your deals are competitive? Because I feel like you have the
A
number
lot.
one brand in the area.
I'd say a lot. That's another thing I hadn't hit on, but it actually is massive. So we get a good amount of leads that come through our website. I'm not spending any money on SEO right now. I have in the past. In the past, I was spending $2,000 a month on SEO, and I'll say I don't think it like incrementally increased my website's value, or at least enough to be like, oh yeah, look at the positions I keep climbing up in the organic search. So perhaps it was wasted money. I'm not sure, but I have invested several times in changing my website to get it more dialed in. And right now I know I have a very fast website that works well. And we're getting a good amount of leads that come through the website as part of that omnipresence. And when people do search, we are the only company that has the kind of reviews that we have.
Yeah.
There's not one other company that has the reviews that we have. We are too short of 100 reviews. And if you think about it, we've done 600 plus deals, maybe at 640 or something like that right now. So you figure almost 15% or whatever the number is of people have left reviews. And we get a lot of people like that 175K deal, whale deal we're going to close. She said the first things out of her mouth, I looked you up online and saw your reviews, and that's why I called you.
Yeah, because it's a lot more institutionalized now. Let's say like 5 years ago, Google didn't really matter. Your website reviews didn't really matter. You could cold call someone. They'd be like, cool. And like it'd just be you two. But then if they ask, like how Michael Butler got asked at a point in time, where's your TV commercial? You know, it's a lot different in the space now, and it's a lot more competitive. All right, let's see with the first one. Oh, Dean, what website is your website built on? Do you use Carrot, or did you pay someone else to build it out? I was interested in that.
Yeah, so I used Carrot for 9 years or so and love Carrot. Can't say enough good things about Carrot. Would highly recommend people to use Carrot. It's when I was changing things up for PPC that I had someone consulting me, basically force me to get a WordPress website and have it custom built, because ultimately the page loads faster. Carrot is good, incredible plug and play, but the WordPress website that was developed for my page loads significantly faster, almost instantly. And that was all the difference, and all the thing that mattered most above all was load speed when it came to PPC. So that was the advice I was given and the direction I went. So I have a WordPress website right now.
I love it. Let's go with these questions that came from Jason's IG. What do you guys think of a website or service like iSpeed to Lead? I thought they were a really good idea. Right now, I've heard a lot of sentiment to where it is very overpriced and it is very hard to deal with a lot of them. But I think if it's like kind of like playing the lottery, in my opinion, like you'll get some good ones and then you'll get some bad ones. You're never going to actually get a refund. You'll get a credit so you can get another lead from it. I don't think we've closed one from them. We've locked up some from them, but I've found it's very, very hard to get people back on the phone is one thing we've run into. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts.
Yeah, we've done pay-per lead services with Need to Sell My House Fast, iSpeed to Lead, and Lead Zolo. And your sales process has to be really good if you guys are going to do that. So you you cannot fool around, buy a lead, and then waste time getting in contact with them, because when they're typing information into the internet trying to figure out how to sell their house, they're not just going to one source, they're going to all these different places. And so your speed to contacting them is really important. So if you have your sales process dialed in, I think they are a viable option to do, like what Dean said, probably be a gap filler in some of the, the more higher end or the higher quality lead channels that you have, right? So if you need a bridge to do a deal here, a deal there, I think those have worked good for us to pop those off, but it doesn't perform like direct mail or some of our other marketing channels, that's for sure.
Yeah. I want to hit a couple more questions here, and then we'll dive into what your take is on all that, Jason, because I think tying off what you're doing from marketing will be good to kind of wrap up, and then we can dive into some other topics here. So I got Jason on my IG says, do you tend to get more leads and traffic participating in podcasts like this? So I'd like to get your guys' opinion on this too. For me personally, I wouldn't say, oh, as soon as I'm done with the podcast, boom, I got leads coming in. I feel like it's just an overall omnipresence kind of play, to where this is for credibility. So if people do see us on a podcast, they see me on a podcast with other people they know, Stratton, Jason, it adds credibility. And so when people see us at a meetup or see us on a podcast and associate it all together, they're just like, wow, these guys are doing a lot of stuff. They know what they're talking about. And then I had a lead sent to me today from a guy who goes to our meetups, who is a serious player, who knows how to close deals. And he's like, yo, can you work on this deal and help me close it? And he said Captain Rogers, because of Stratton calling me Captain America all the time. And so literally that's proof in the pudding of branding through the podcast. It turns out we're already working that lead, and we're literally trying to get that seller to go to Chicago Title and sign a closing document with us. And we're like trading stories about the seller and how she's being difficult and different stuff like that. So like that's a real life example that literally happened today while I was running Hills, Stratton. Legitimately, while I was running Hills, I got the text in and hit him back on it. So yeah, it's not like I get flooded with deals, but it helps complement it for sure.
Yeah, stuff like this, social media, the meetups, this is all long game, guys. These are seeds that you plant today, and then you reap the rewards and the fruit from it 2, 3, 4 years down the road. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't just wake up one day and start doing the events that we're doing right now. It's been years of putting on events where there was like 10 people, 15 people, then it got to 100, and then we're at the stage that we're at now. So this is a way to brand yourself, add credibility, and then eventually, we haven't talked much about referrals, but I know that we will. That's one of our best sources of deals. Dean, I know you get tons of referrals, and all of that ties back to this type of stuff, like you said.
I think you need to stay relevant is the biggest thing. Like, everybody needs to know that you're actively doing business. And I got this from Pace. Everybody wants to do business with people they like, but the big thing is they need to know that you're actually doing business. Right. And so like half of the social is just staying in front of people. So like when they're scrolling through social media, they're like, oh yeah, you know what? Jason can help, Strat can help, Dean can help. And that's been huge. Today I got 2 deals sent to me, 1 storage, 1 commercial deal on social. I'm like, hey, are you interested in this? I have this thing. I'm direct to seller. And that's just from posting. I didn't even post about like any of our real estate stuff today. And so again, it's a very, very long game, but I think it's the number one thing. I think in our local market, Jason has done the best as far as agents, as far as like referrals, and we could go into that, and staying in front of them, because these agents love Jason. They love him.
They do.
Bro, it's crazy. They love him. They love Jason like nobody's business.
Yeah, no, referrals is a whole nother thing to unpack. Let's answer a couple of these other questions here. Let's put this one up here and we'll see what list is bringing in the most leads. I get this question a lot. Like, what list is hot? What are you doing? Is it probate? Is it this, or is it that? I've shared this a few times on my stories, and one of the most productive lists that we've had, I've looked back since the beginning of 2024, and we have 6 or 7 deals in contract directly from this list, has been our tax delinquent list. So we pull a tax delinquent list out of Property Radar, and we go basically from Stockton to Bakersfield, because that's where we're investing. And we in radar, the filters are the properties that are tax delinquent years 3, 4, and 5. And we had a 30% equity filter. And that's it. You can pull that list in 2 minutes right now out of property radar. And it's good if you're just starting direct mail, guys, because it's only going to pull a few thousand. So you're not going to break the bank and spend tens of thousands of dollars on mail to start getting some quality leads in. So that would be one that's worked very well for us.
I think whatever niche stuff you could get is what you need to go with. Like when everybody says what's performing the best. I know a couple weeks ago, Eric said high equity is, but now more than ever, when you have to deal with, especially in cold calling, you have to play a very special game to not get dinged with lawsuits. I have gone through lawsuits with both these guys in different situations, or someone in the valley from litigators. Right. And so like the more you can niche down, the easier it'll be, because those high equity people are getting slammed all day. And so I would tell you, if you could get the tax delinquent, probate, eviction, code enforcement, pre-foreclosure, and then you just omnipresence that's probably the best bang for your buck for a while.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, cool. Jason, what are the marketing things you're doing right now? What does it look like? How much are you spending? What's working best for you?
Mail has been our staple, dude. I think that's what I started out with. That is by far our highest ROI from paid marketing. We're up to about 30,000 pieces of mail right now. We use a company called Yellow Letter HQ to fulfill it. And we're using that check letter that has become very popular, but it's still getting results for us. We get calls every single day from sellers on that. And it's really good because I feel like it sets a price expectation from the beginning. It does a lot of the negotiation from the beginning. It disqualifies the sellers that aren't even going to be open to doing it. So I found that when those people call in, when those sellers call in, the letter does a lot of the initial work for us. And we've had multiple experiences over the last 6 months where they like, I want the number that's on the check. We run the numbers and we can pay what's on the check. And it's like in a day, we're done. So that works really well. Since we have all of the data already for doing the mail and we keep our cold callers in-house and we train them in-house, we just go right behind the mail and just follow up with calling. So right now we've got 4 team members that are actively cold calling, that all work internally for me. One of those team members is a leads manager. The other ones are just straight calling. So the lead manager doesn't do as much active outreach. She manages the other 3 and then works the warmer leads as they come in and helps our acquisitions people close them. Our website is performing really well too, Dean. I thought you had brought that up earlier. We're still on Carrot. I think Carrot is a great option for a lot of you guys. And I think if you co-brand, like what Dean said, like we co-brand our mail, we're not running TV or radio ads right now, but with our direct mail pieces, we're putting our Carrot website on there. We highlight it. We make it very bold and clear. And you're just going to get some sellers, guys, that are not comfortable picking up the phone and wanting to go through a sales process right out of the gate, right? So just organically, they're going to go, and that traffic from your letter is going to drive them to your site. And I'm not an expert on SEO, but as we've driven more traffic through our mail to our website, we've also gotten more people that are reaching out to us organically just through organic searches too, because I think the traffic that goes there also helps you rise up those search rankings. So those are some of the best leads that we've gotten is right from our organic site. And then we plug the gaps with, the pay per lead site. And then for us, referrals is a big chunk of it outside of our paid marketing. So we spend, I just looked at this number the other day. We're between $25,000 to $30,000 on marketing only every single month. So a few ticks under where you're at, Dean, and then the rest we make up from referral sources and other free things that don't cost as much as some of these paid sources.
So I want to talk about how you got marketing is one point, and I used to always say the biggest difference between you and the biggest person in your market is the marketing. But now that the playing field, I believe, is very, very even, I think it's who's the best operator, who's like really going to win and take it all, because there's a bunch, your bucket's essentially leaking when you market it like that. So
I don't disagree, man.
The best bucket, it's like really the best operator now. So what have you guys done to become the really, really good operators, attract the talent? Because it is very, very competitive, and like getting to it as fast as you can, all those other things are number one. Go ahead, Jason.
One of the things, honestly, that I've done that has made one of the most noticeable increases, and Dean talked about this at the beginning when we jumped on, was making a focused and intentional and consistent effort to train my team. And a lot of people that are new, honestly, they don't spend time sharpening their skill sets, dude. They think just doing, like, getting on the phone and doing more. And if you're doing it wrong and you're not practicing and you're not refining those skills and you're not trying different things when you're on the phone or you're in person with the seller, and you just go with the same pitch every single time, guys, it's going to be hard to see any increases in your productivity. And so as soon as I focused on training and we made that a consistent part of it, and I'd be interested to see like what your training regimen looks like for your team, Dean, our team got better. Our team responded more, like they felt like we were pouring into them. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like that, like they felt like we were making an effort to actually try to help them be better at their jobs. And all of that over time really helped increase our ability to close more deals.
Yeah. I want to go back to your point real quick, Strat, and like talk about the fact that with marketing, there are more and more options out there that make it accessible for people to get into the game. And, you know, we're spending a lot of money, tens of thousands of dollars a month. You don't have to be at that scale to get started. You know, like perfect example, one of these pay per lead services, one of my students just got a deal today. His very first lead, I mean, this is not normal, but his very first lead, he spent $300 on this pay per lead. He locked up a deal that was competitive. They had shopped it around, but they liked him so much in the rapport he built. He's going to make $50,000, $55,000 doing a quick and easy flip, right? And so did I ever see that deal, even though I'm spending more money? No, I never saw that deal. So there's enough deals out there for everybody. The other example, the deal where we're about to get the seller at the finish line and to escrow to sign, another person in our market, coincidentally, that reached out to me was working on the same lead. And I know that he probably didn't spend money to get in front of that lead, or I'm just guessing, right? So there's enough opportunity out there for everybody. And it has evened the playing field, which, coming back to the point, how you operate, your sales training itself is so critical. It's so critical. And I lost sight of this for, I'd probably say, a couple years, was not doing any sales training. And we were still doing 100 deals a year, but shoot, how much more of deals could we have done? Look at March. I came in and freaking laid the hammer down on training, and we got 22 deals under contract. So imagine if we were running at that like efficiency and with that kind of focus all the time behind us, you know, in the past. And so for our training right now, what we have been doing, and I still need to adjust as I'm hearing myself talk about this and we're reflecting on it. The training that I did in person at the beginning of March was, let's sit down, let's talk through the script step by step. And let's emphasize every single word that's in here, what the importance is. Let's get feedback. Let's talk about it. And let's talk about why it works, or if you're giving me feedback of why you don't think it works, let's talk through that and figure it out. What are the objections you're getting if you say something like this? And so by just going through the script and reemphasizing what our process is, we have a 2-step closing process, our initial call, and then we have our offer call. If we follow it the way that we're supposed to, we're going to put ourselves in the best position. So by just reemphasizing the script, something that they should already understand is what they need to do, made a huge difference. What I had been doing only is listening back to calls, and providing feedback. Oh, hey, this call, you know, went this way. You asked these questions from the script. You missed these questions. Why did you say this? You did a great job right here. Do more of that. And those have been really great calls. We do those sales training calls every Wednesday. And sometimes those are, you know, an hour-long call, just listening to a 10-minute call, right? We'll be talking about it for an hour on a 10-minute call. Now, what I need to put in place, as I'm hearing myself say this, is more script training, specifically just on the script. and more role playing, more them teaching me back about it. Because whenever you teach, you get better. I know that definitively needs to be done more. And when I'm back in town in April here before Deal Champ Summit, shout out the Deal Champ Summit, I'm going to be doing more of that script training again. So I know there's a lot of value in that.
For us, our training schedules cover similar stuff. So we do script training twice a week. I agree. I actually love the script trainings, and those are some of my favorites because we can really work the scenarios on the phone, because some of those are make or break, dude. You could be on a call with a seller that's going to convert, and if you can't handle them being competitive or hard to deal with at the beginning of the call, and you don't know how to overcome those objections, and it's click, they're just going to go, and then that deal is going to get sold to somebody else, right? So you have to be great at navigating those types of conversations. So we do two of those a week. So that's our script training. And we do two different things. We role play the initial call, like our very first point of contact, what we're trying to accomplish in that first point of contact and what constitutes like a qualified lead. And then on the second one, it's our acquisitions call, where we're diving deeper into the numbers, diving deeper into motivation, going to set an appointment, because I think those two conversations are two different skill sets. And so we spend a lot of time focusing on that. We do one training a week where we listen to recorded calls. I agree. If you guys are not recording your calls right now and going back and reviewing them, it's very easy to convince yourself that you're doing a good job on the phone. And then when you go back and actually listen to the call and how you performed, it can be night and day. You can miss so many easy things. It's one of the most powerful things to do. We do a deal review training just to get them good at underwriting and analyzing and running numbers on deals, so they have a good sense about how to do that on the fly. I think new investors especially spend way too much time like analyzing a deal. They're spending hours comping a property and they want it to be perfect. And that, guys, you have to be able to comp a property and get to your offer price within a couple minutes, I think. You know what I mean? Unless it's a really overly complicated thing. Like we want our team
marketing to stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like just market
for our team. Yeah. We want 3 to 5 minutes. Get it there so we can get an idea of where our range is going to be at. Then we call the seller. So we do training on that. And then we do one training a week where we try to educate them on different scenarios, especially for some of our newer team members. They don't know the nuances of a probate conversation or an eviction conversation. And, you know, people with
a really good
foreclosures, right? Like there's certain things that you can say to sellers over the phone that transfers a level of authority and confidence, right? Just by being able to use the jargon and the terms, right, the right way, right? If you filed the petition with the court for your probate and asking them these questions that make them feel like this person on the other end is an expert, and I'm confident in their ability to help kind of quarterback me through this situation. So we do overall 5 different trainings a week spread out over a couple different days. And it's been consistent that way for 12 or 18 months. And I've really noticed the team responds well. We see the results on the phone. And if you guys are newer and you want to increase the amount of deals that you do, you either need to get with people that are doing training or invest into some training that yourself that you guys can do, because just getting the reps in and not practicing and working on developing that skill, it's not going to get the job done.
And I think if you have a virtual team, you should be doing 2 trainings a day, at least like 2 check-ins. It really helps with the culture. And I got this from Hormozy. I like to do feedback as soon as humanly possible, so we can like make that connection and they learn a lot faster. So like when we do a call review, we're going to do a call review of a call earlier that day so they can actually think about it and connect it significantly faster so they learn better. And I found that it helps us out a lot when we're training different sales reps or even callers. Instead of like, hey, this is a call from last week. You don't even remember what you had for breakfast. You know, like you're not going to be able to, why did you say it this way? And then be able to dive into their brain and rewire what needs to be rewired.
That's a really good point.
So we've talked about marketing. I think that's really important piece, the training and just developing those scale skills and getting better at that, right? I think if you're going to do 100 deals, you have to have people. I don't know any one-man armies or one-woman armies that are doing 100 deals. You know what I mean? And even if they were, I don't know how sustainable it is, because it's just the workload that's involved in doing that much. If you don't have the proper people on your team, it's going to be very difficult to do that. So when you first made the jump, Dean, did you go virtual first, or you hired in person first? Like, I know that's a big question, right? Like what did those initial hires look like? And then, what does the attracting of talent to your team look and feel like for you?
Yeah, for me, the only virtual person that I've hired is the one that I hired this last year in 2000. I want to say she just hit her year anniversary like last month or the month before. So that was the very first virtual employee that I hired. Before that, all my employees have been in person. They were all through referrals. Every single one of them was through Facebook or through referrals. I feel pretty darn lucky about that. I haven't done any sort of applications or job postings or anything like that. I actually did do it once. This is hilarious. I did do it once when I was doing my first 2 hires within the same month. My first 2 hires were, I want to say 5 years ago or so. And it was an acquisition manager and an office manager within 30 days of each other. And when I was trying to hire the office manager, I did a job posting on Monster, what do they call it?
Monsters.
It was Monster back then. Yeah. Now it's
Monster.
like, I feel like Indeed is the big one. Yeah.
Indeed. Okay. It was on Indeed actually. So it was on Indeed. I had a ton of applications, was sorting through all these. It was like a ton of effort. And literally, as I'm trying to make a decision, my business partner, Lewis, gets a referral from someone else, another realtor. Hey, this used to be like my TC. Are you interested in maybe an introduction? And we ended up hiring her after all this work through Indeed and everything. So I think referrals are huge, massive. If you're putting the word out there that you're looking to hire, if you're doing something worth anything, you're going to attract the talent you're looking for, right? And the right type of talent at the right time. So the first acquisition manager that I hired was my very first hire, and he's still with us today. We've had almost virtually no turnover. And he was someone I found through Facebook. I posted, hey, I'm looking to hire an acquisition manager. And a wholesaler in our market replied back and said, yeah, I'd be interested. And I was like, really? I got on the phone with him. Really? You're interested? I'm like, you just wholesaled us several deals. I saw how much money you made. You made a lot of money. Like, I can't offer you that kind of money right out the gate. Like, you made a lot of money. And he's like, dude, I just don't want to deal with the marketing, the financials, the taxes. Like, I just want to make good money and go fishing on the weekends. And he makes a couple $100,000 with us, and he closes over $1 million worth of business and does phenomenal. And he's a great teammate still to this day. So can't say enough good things about that. Our first office manager, came not 30 days later and was huge for us, super huge, just to take off all those responsibilities. So those were scary hires though. I was really scared to do it because I was just so flip heavy at the time. And admittedly, I talk about this openly, like I wasn't making big rips. I was negotiating for volume. Oh yeah, I'll take a $15,000 profit on this deal analyzer. I'll take a $20,000 profit. I'll take a $25,000 profit. I want to do more deals. And it was about doing volume rather than doing good deals. So like we weren't getting good rips. We weren't making tons of money, and all my cash was in the gosh damn deals I was doing over and over. So I was like cash poor. And so it was really scary to make those hires. But I looked around and had good people that were around me saying like, you're still doing transaction coordination. You're still doing acquisitions. Like, what the heck are you doing? Like, you've done however many, 100 plus, however many deals I had done at the time. You need to hire out people. It's the only way you can scale and grow. And I did it and could never imagine life like it was before. I could never imagine taking all of the calls, doing all the transaction coordination, all the bill paying, all the everything. Even though my hands are still in it, I'm still paying attention. I have a pulse on everything, to the point where I'm maybe a little obsessed, but like it's significantly better and we accomplish a lot more. So we've got our other acquisition manager now. So 2 acquisition managers, 1 office manager, and our leads manager who is virtual. And then my business partner and I both do what we do best. And he does a lot. He's really stepped up over the past few years in a huge way from an operations standpoint. He runs all of our ARVs. He's checking in with our sales guys every single day, kind of checking in, getting a pulse on deals. He's running to appointments, meeting with sellers, taking pictures. He's an absolute hustler, and just us being able to bounce stuff off each other is super invaluable. So
I think it's interesting. Our as far as the hiring trajectory was different. I hired admin first because I was just so caught up in all of the day-to-day stuff, right? I just could not, being TC, doing bookkeeping, going to the job sites, cutting checks for everybody. I mean, it just got to a stage where it's just impossible to do all of that and be good at acquisitions without letting things kind of fall through the cracks. So my first hire was an admin person. That person was here, local. And then eventually we transitioned that position into something that a virtual team member could do. And that's been really good for us. I feel like virtual team members excel if you find the right one in those administrative roles, and you can get somebody that honestly isn't just as good, but in some facets better for a fraction of what you're going to have to compensate a really good person out here, right? And so I think we've done very well with being able to bring team members on into some of these admin and operational roles, and without breaking the bank for us. So I think we've done a good job with that, but I took forever to hire out acquisitions. And if I could go back and change that I would definitely consider that a mistake. I think acquisitions was always kind of my baby. Right? It is, dude. It's scary, dude. It's scary when you're thinking about, is this the right person? How much of this deal do we have to give up? You know what I mean? Is there enough margin in our overall business to give up 10, 15% of whatever we're going to make on this deal for every person? Are they going to go on an appointment and fumble an opportunity that could bring in 50 or 60 grand? You know what I mean? And it's like at the beginning, I'm always going to be better than the new hire, right? You know what I'm saying? So like at the beginning, that fear is a little justified because you haven't trained them. You haven't, given them the leash that they need to go out and fail and do some of those things. And so it's really difficult for me to let go of that. And I think that was a big thing that after I made the commitment to do that, first it was a virtual position and I got some of it off my plate. Then we brought somebody local to help, and it's been a game changer for me. And so I feel like that was the model that worked really well for us. And I think right now you had brought something up, Dean, about attracting talent, which I think is important, right? Like you have to go on social and show people that you're doing stuff if you want social media to be a good source of referrals for talent, right? Any one of us right now could post something saying, hey, we've got an opening in such and such department, and we would probably get tons of DMs with people that would be interested. And it's interesting in this market. I think that there is lots of talent right now because the market is compressing and deals are becoming tighter, that there's lots of people out there that can fill some of these roles that I don't want to say they weren't cut out to be the main decision maker or the business owner, but I've also realized that not everybody, it's normal for us to want to have the pressure of making the final decision. It's normal for us, and we're okay handling writing the check at the end of every single month. It's normal for us to deal with all the ups and downs. But most people, frankly, don't want to deal with that, dude. And so I think if you can create a really good culture where you're pouring into them, you're training them, they're winning financially, they feel like they're progressing professionally, I think lots of people will, be attracted to what you've got going on. So social media for us has been one of the best ways to hire talent.
One thing that's crazy that took a while for me to understand is that, number one, your sales reps aren't trying to make as much money as you're trying to make, right? Because like you want to overcompensate and like pay them like, well, damn, well, they need to make $1 million a year. Blah, blah, blah. We need to do that. And then that nobody really does think like you, like Jason said, as far as the buck stops with me. I do want to be the leader. I want to make all the choices. I want to go out here and drive the boat forward. For a lot of people, they get in the game and they say like, oh my God, I got to do all of this. Just like how Dean was talking about, like, this really isn't for me. It's not what I thought it was. Social media made entrepreneurship look so sexy, blah, blah, blah. But then they aren't prepared for the like fetal position moments that come with everything else that's going on.
Yeah.
Right. That's like the best way I could put it. How do you guys, speaking of fetal position moments and moments that make you want to pull out your hair, how do you deal with the team failing I know at a point in time when we were really growing Call Magicians, every week on our level 10, everyone would have to say a failure that they had that week and how they reconciled it. Right? Because the biggest thing is like, I don't care if you fail, reconcile it, or how can we fix this moving forward? So like, how do you guys, did you deal with, I think in this wholesale space, the hardest part is hiring the sales rep. I don't think really anything else is as fragile as that. So how have you dealt with someone fumbling a bag is the best way I can put it, because someone's going to fumble a bag. Go
So
ahead.
if I can, I think that's a phenomenal question. If I can go back and ask the two of you, because the two of you have hired virtual and done very well at it, I'd be curious to get insights on what has allowed you to find good virtual talent. Like people that are, Jason, like you said, performing at those potentially higher levels than if you were to otherwise hire local at a fraction of the cost. How are you finding the talent virtually? And Strat, you the same. I mean, you've hired hundreds of people, so I'd be curious where the best sources are.
It's going to sound
Go ahead,
stupid, but referrals, right? Like our best people have still, like internally from across the
believe that.
world,
Yeah.
have been referrals. And then a lot of it goes from building people from within and putting them in really uncomfortable situations. Like when it comes to culture, and Jason's done a good job with this with Scott and Cade. They're so good because they've been with Jason for fucking 10 years. Right. And so the people who were with me at the beginning, they got the mentality. I molded them. They were in a growth mindset. I was like, hey, I'm going to put you in a new role. It's going to be really, really hard at the beginning, but I believe in you. I know you're going to fail at certain things, but you got this. Because the majority of the time, the aptitude will be there mentally, and then the culture's there. Like, that's all I need. If they have like the mental aptitude, sometimes I want to hire like for a new position, and I have to go get someone that like doesn't have a skill that anybody has. And that's like Wise Hire, Indeed, doing all sorts of interviews, questions, personality tests. But my best people have come from me growing them internally. From they start at a really, really small position, and then they prove themselves over time, and then I can help them grow and grow into whatever company that is. Or it's a referral, and like, hey, this guy's a killer. They get how much of a psychopath I am, what I want, what the company's about. And so they know that if they're going to put their skin on, like their ass on the line, that this person's going to perform.
Yeah.
That's what it's been for me.
Yeah, you're going to have to take your chances. And we did everything at the beginning, all of the websites, all of the stuff, until we found one or two quality people, right? So the way that you find them is you just have to go through the process at the beginning. And then when you find the one or two people that are really good, you have to develop them. You have to create a really good culture. I feel like lots of people in this business treat virtual team members just as plug and play, and they're very set it and forget it. And they don't even check in with them on a daily basis. And that's just not going to work. So if you guys are not going to invest in building a culture, which is hard to do over Zoom, it's hard to do over technology. It's not the same as being, that's one of the values of having an in-person team, is that the energy transfer that happens when everybody's in the office, like vibing off of each other. You have to invest time to recreating that the best way that you can in a virtual environment. And we've done, frankly, a really good job of that. And then when they're compensated well and they see like they're not on the chopping block every second of every day like they've been at maybe some of these big companies, if they do one thing wrong or they don't follow something, then they'll reach out to other talented people and say, dude, I've got a really good thing going on over here. We're getting paid well. Our boss is cool. Our boss pours into us. And now, we're just constantly recruiting for our virtual team members. We're constantly like, hey, if you have quality people, bring them on. If there's not a fit for us, we'll send them to one of our coaching students or somebody else that I know that can use them, because we constantly want a pipeline of good people. So yeah, you've got to build the culture virtually or it's not going to work.
What about you, Dino? How do you deal with all this?
Are we going into your question about people with failure?
Yeah, like because I think the dealing with failure is really, really hard. We had one dude fumble like a $40,000 bag last year, and I about lost my fucking mind.
Yeah.
Because it was very simple. You know what I'm saying? And those are the most frustrating. And it's people are going to fail. If he messes this one up, he's never going to do it again. And is it out of negligence, or is it just out of a fuck it mentality? And then that's a whole nother conversation when it comes to leadership.
I can tell you, it's hard to admit, but we've definitely fumbled bags, many bags greater than, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean,
Yeah.
again, like when I listen to some of these calls and I'm just baffled. Why did we say that? Why didn't we ask this obvious question? I go back to the same thing, Jason and I were talking about, and you as well, Strat, of like, if I were to do it myself, that would have been a deal, right? I could have made more money. I would have negotiated a deal. That deal we're going to make 175 grand on, even though that is an insane blessing and a just incredible deal. I listened back to the call, even though I heard it live, I didn't hear what the seller was saying because I gave my acquisitions guy my headphones and said, here, let's use these. I didn't hear what the seller was saying. When I heard back what the seller was saying, we could have gotten another $15,000, $20,000 less, hands down, without question. And I know exactly what I would have said in those moments. So the reality is like, as long as people are willing to take ownership and people are willing to, and are putting in the work to get better, that's almost the most you can ask for sometimes. Because if you're going to compare to another person, if you're going to compare to yourself at all times, then that's a slippery slope, and it's just not going to be fun for anybody. If it's just not working out, then you need to look elsewhere and you need to look for a different talent. But if someone's willing to take ownership, and the best way to empower someone to take ownership, an example you gave, was it Jason or Stratton? I think it was Jason, about, letting them know that they're not going to just be fired, if they make one mistake, allowing them to make mistakes. But what I was going to say is, if you take ownership and you talk about when you messed up and where you make mistakes, it gives that space for somebody to feel like, all right, we're all here in this together. And as long as you're not trying to pretend like you're perfect and I'm the only one messing up, then I can be open and honest about my mistakes too. So any chance where I get to call myself out or admit where I'm at fault, I think that's important. And it makes it easier when, hey, I need to go in and really lay down, the hammer of like, we really screwed up here. It's received better. And again, when you're coming from the place of, I want to make you better, and you have that positive environment, that good culture, then it's more of that team aspect. It's like looking to your teammate and being like, yo, man, come on, we got this. Like, step it up. Let's go win this game together. And when you have that kind of mindset, that kind of attitude, then they're either going to show up to the game and try to get better and give it everything they got, or they're going to exit. They might opt out themselves. You know what I mean?
And people will self-select is another thing. Like, if your culture is good enough, people will self-select themselves out, which I found is good. And for something, if you are like stressed about situations like this, I think Ray Dalio's Principles book, as far as like a leadership and like a company culture, is like the best thing you could do as far as like being okay with your failures, because everybody's always afraid to admit they failed as the leader, to where it's like, hey, here's the failure. Here's what I did to fix it. Now we're on to the next. And we're not going to make this mistake again. It gives everyone else so much more confidence, and especially with your virtual people, because especially the people in the Philippines are not as like, they don't want to be as aggressive. I've seen it. We've hired hundreds of people over there. They don't want to be as aggressive because they're afraid to lose their job. Right. And so you got to give them the utmost confidence to go and be the awesome, talented people that they are, because majority of them have a bachelor's degree and a degree that you would never understand. And so you got to give them the confidence to go out there and make decisions.
Yeah, I think Dean hit it on the head. I think if you lead with, hey, you know what, listening back to the call, hearing what was said, this honestly falls on me. It doesn't fall on you. This is a training opportunity for me. We should have sat down. I should have instilled these skills with you. It takes the pressure off, because 9 times out of 10, they already know that they screwed up, dude. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they already feel terrible enough as it is. So you kind of got to go into that and get that, identify the elephant in the room, and then just say, hey, moving forward, this is how we're going to address that type of situation. That's how it's usually responded very well to me. I think there's no way like thinking back to how we did it, we probably screwed up so many opportunities at the beginning because we didn't know what we didn't know. So it's our job as leaders to transfer those skills to them. And so, yeah, that was exactly how I approach it.
Oh yeah. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Do not forget to hit like and subscribe. Dino, pull up the ticker. Show them the ticker. Do not forget to get your tickets at dealchamps.com/summit. There's the ticker right there. Look at that beautiful thing.
It's a nice
tickets are
looking
running
ticker.
low, is all I'm gonna say. Tickets are running mighty low, bro. It's been amazing to see all the support. We can't wait to see you guys there. Any other parting words? Go ahead, Dino.
I was gonna say, what'd you guys think about today's topic? Was it pretty good?
Oh, it was good.
I
like just kind of going, the three of us going and talking and engaging the audience. I thought it was good.
I think it's what I love about these kind of conversations is we get the opportunity to like lift up the covers, lift up the hood, and really get into the details. And I don't know, I kind of feel like teasing some people a little bit that if this was, for those that have been watching, I know there's lives on all sorts of different channels on Instagram and Facebook. You know, if you guys felt this was good, we'd love to get some feedback on it, whether it's in the DMs, whether it's on comments on the live. We're thinking about maybe putting something together where we can do a lot more of this and make it hands-on. So if that's something that interests you guys that are listening, whether you're listening to it live, you're listening to it playback, shoot us a comment that you got value from this. And we're thinking about maybe putting something together like this with it being more hands-on. So yeah, it was fun going through this today.
All right, guys. Super excited. See you guys at the event. And I'll talk to you soon.
Let's go, baby. Deal Champ Summit.
Let's go.